Hello and welcome back again. My name is NO16 and today, welcome back to Chat Room. Today, we are going to take a look at well, it's not really looking at what's been announced, but more so talking about what could be a thing coming into the new preseason, coming in a few patches for next year. So, as you guys should know, we are about to hit a new patch. We've got one more week left, so next week will be the patch for 7.17 will be next week, and then we've got 3 weeks until we get to 7.18, then 2 weeks again for 19, 20, and 22 and 21 and 22. Now, the preseason has been announced that it will be coming on 7.22. So we've got quite a while yet to go until we get to the preseason, but we don't have a lot of information about it yet. We know of two things that are coming, which is the runes, the update to the runes and masteries system, which is one of the biggest things that they have been talking about coming into the preseason, which definitely looks really, really interesting, but I don't want to start talking about all that. I already have made a video about that, what could be happening for AD carries in that system, but we want to look at AD carries in general. So, AD carries at the moment are in a pretty nice spot. Kind of. Crit, as you guys should know, at the start of this season was absolutely fucking garbage. Much like it was last year. It's the fact that they've given some buffs to crit, which has allowed it to come up into scale, which actually allows it to now scale a lot easier in terms of your item purchases, because they lowered the amount of gold that it gives, the amount of gold it costs. Sorry. So you can get your items a lot earlier, meaning you can scale into the game a lot quicker. Which has actually helped out every single crit champion in the game. And this is why, right now, the top ADs are big crit users. And which is definitely a lot of fun. I really like crit. I think crit is one of the greatest stats in the game. It's just so much fun to use. It's why I'm an AD carry. But there's also been problems with two other ADs, which is Lucian and Ezreal. So Lucian and Ezreal right now in AD carry are fucking awful. Lucian is good in mid lane, as you all know, but he doesn't build crit. He goes the Bork into Black Cleaver a lot of the time. He doesn't go crit until his third and fourth item, and even then, sometimes he prioritizes other stuff like Ma or QSS or something like that, so he's not always going crit in his build, which kind of, I think, makes him a little bit weaker in the entire game. But for AD, he's absolutely garbage because of the fact that he can't scale with crit as well as other champions can. So I want to see in the preseason some stuff coming for like Lucian and Ezreal, because these two, because they're so bad right now, and they will probably get some buffs in some regards in AD carry. Maybe not Lucian because how good he is in mid lane. But I want to see these two being able to go back to crit fully, which I think it might actually help these two out. Now, obviously, it's going to ruin Ezreal's little reputation that he has of being a non-crit user for pretty much ever. He's never really built crit, which is definitely very unique for him in terms of AD carries. As you guys should know, even when likes of Twitch, Draven, they didn't prioritize crit as much as other ADs, but they still got it in their build. For example, one of the old builds for Twitch was Ghostblade, Bork, IE. And back in the day, Ghostblade also offered crit, so the crit was still there, even though it wasn't his main focal point. And now all these champions have gone over to crit, but the likes of Lucian has gone away from crit, which is a bit iffy, really. It's what you guys think about it. I kind of don't like it. I think he should go back to going crit, just because crit as a stat is good in terms of scaling, because it's one of the best scaling stats in the entire game. As you know, armor gets weaker as the game goes on because of armor penetration. Same for magic resist. You have MR. It gets weaker as the game goes on because of the magic penetration and armor magic penetration armor penetration and magic penetration goes up in value as the game goes on, just because of the fact that it starts to penetrate even more resistances. Health is also a good one that also scales as the game goes on. So you have all these stats that scale, but then you look at crit, and crit goes fucking bananas as the game goes on. It is by far the best stat in the late game. There's hardly anything that can rival it, which is why AD carries are the best late game champions in the entire game. Like, you think of some of the best late game champions, you start thinking of the likes of Jinx, Tristana, Twitch, Kog'Maw, even though Kog'Maw doesn't really go crit, but he has an insane amount of attack speed, and he does have some crit in his build. From the likes of, like, if he goes Fire Cannon, or definitely from the Runan's Hurricane. You know, these have crit in them, and Kog'Maw sometimes gets them. So, he still has crit there, even though he's not a main crit user. But, what would I... So, as I've just talked about that elaborately, just talking about how crit is a great thing, what would I like to see in the preseason, then? Well, I definitely want Riot to take a look at the itemization for AD carries. So, right now, AD carry feels good. I've already stated this. But a lot of other people are saying that AD carry feels bad to play against, because of the fact that crit is so good right now. And I think it's just mainly down to a lot of people just don't know how to counteract this crit. You know, there are items in the game that shut down AD carries really hard. A main example of this is Ninja Tabi. Get a Ninja Tabi early on, and AD carry is kind of useless in the early game. Like, an AD carry can't do much to you if you have Ninja Tabi. If crit ends up becoming a big problem for your team, and you're dying because of this crit, then why not just go the, what's the item? You can actually just go the great item, which is fucking Random's Omen. Like, this lowers crit, as it does, I believe it's 20% less damage from crits, which is strong. Plus, it also lowers the attack speed of the attacker, which is also really strong against AD carries. So, there's a lot of answers you can take against AD carries, and even crit users. Like, it's not something that's hard to counter at all. It is possible. But you just got to think about it, which a lot of people really don't. Now, obviously, crit is only good when you get more crit. This is why AD carries don't really rush, like, Infinity Edges every single game. You have some people that do rush Infinity Edge, but one of the best ways to go is Zeal into Infinity Edge. As Infinity Edge on its own is basically a bad item, right? It doesn't really do much. It's only 20% crit, and it doesn't offer you any attack speed. And AD carries, their most two important stats is crit and attack speed. That's their biggest wet dream of stats. Not really so much of AD. AD is good. You know, you'd never want to pass up some AD, but it's not the stat that they would go out the way to get. They will go out the way to get more attack speed and more crit. This is why you see a lot of ADs going double Zeal. Just because it gives the most the crit, and it also gives a shit ton of attack speed for you. So, for itemization, what would I like to see? Well, I'd like to see some changes to, like, Zeal. I think Zeal as itself is a great stat, but they definitely had problem with this season, right? Because at the start of well, we can go back to last year. At the start, there was, everybody would go Fire Cannon, Shiv. Every game, right? No matter what AD you were, you go Shiv and Fire Cannon because they proc off of each other. And they both had passives that actually worked well with each other. Then they removed that interaction, and they give some buffs to Phantom Dancer, which then made Phantom Dancer a must-buy. They then made Hurricane better, and they made Hurricane a must-buy. And now we're back at the point again where Shiv and Fire Cannon are so good together that a lot of the times you kind of want to get them together. Just because of the fact, getting the proc of Shiv and Fire Cannon quicker with the Fire Cannon, and also having long-range Shiv procs, is really fucking strong. So there's also there's a lot of these problems, right? It's definitely going to be a balance problem with these items because there's 4 of them. If you didn't know, I've just loaded them all. There's Phantom Dancer, Hurricane, Shiv, and Fire Cannon. These are the 4 Zeal items, and it always feels like there's 2 Zeal items that are must-buy and pushes down the other 2. And then they nerf one of them, and another one comes up. And it's constantly switching between the 2. Like, Fire Cannon right now. If you're going Fire Cannon, you want to go Fire Cannon for the Shiv. Because Shiv is a must-buy, by the way. Shiv is brought on nearly every single AD carry as your first Zeal item if you do not use Hurricane. If you are Kog'Maw, Tristana, well, if you're Kog'Maw, Callista, even Jinx, like, these 3, they have to go Hurricane, right? That's their main damage source, is being able to do AoE damage, and just the way how it works with their kit is just so fucking good that you can't pass up on it. But Shiv is built on every other AD first. It is their primary crit attack speed item. And then it just goes to, which one do you want? Do you want to duel people better? Go Hurricane. No, if you want dueling people to go better for you, go Phantom Dancer. If you want some AoE team fighting, or a little bit better wave clear, even though you got the Shiv already, then go Hurricane. If you want to go if you want more damage on your autos against the likes of tanks and stuff like that, then go Fire Cannon. These 3 options are great, but the fact that Shiv is a must-buy on like 90% of the ADs, nah, maybe not so good. So, I'd definitely like to see Riot do some stuff to these, and it's definitely just going to be one of these things that Riot will have to tweak as time goes on. I would also like to see some changes to Essence Reaver. I think Essence Reaver right now isn't the greatest of options right now, because a lot of Essence Reaver users sometimes, like, they just go, nah, don't need it. I'd rather go for the IE. You know, like Sivir is one champion that sometimes will just skip the Essence Reaver and go, fuck it, don't need it. I just want the IE. I just want to do more damage much more quicker. So, I'd like to see some changes to crit, and overall, I think the champions are fine themselves, but I would like definitely see some changes to Ezreal and Lucian. I think these 2 would need to have just some small changes to them to actually bring them in line with the crit scaling users. And yeah, anyway guys, that is where I'm going to end today's video. What do you guys think about crit? Do you think crit is great? Do you think it's awful? And if you don't play AD, I want you guys to come into this conversation as well, because you guys are the ones that complain a lot about ADs being too strong, right? And us ADs are always going, we're too weak. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think crit right now is too strong? Do you think it needs to be nerfed? Is it oppressive for you? Even though there's a lot of options you can stop it, do you think those options are really good? Do you think they're bad options? Because I know loads of people say about Randuin's Omen isn't a really good item, even though ADs are really strong right now. So, I'm going to end here. Hope you guys have all enjoyed. As always, do the normal YouTube stuff, and I'll see you all next time. Till then, everyone, peace out.